Starting, Jeremy.
Welcome to another episode of Shane and Jeremy Drinking. Welcome to another episode of the Dynasty Trades HQ podcast, brought to you by the Dynasty Football Network and DynastyFootballFactory.com. I'm Jeremy Browen. You can find me on Twitter at DFF_Madman. Michael Sipes, our usual producer, is off tonight, tending to his 102-year-old grandmother. However, as usual, we have our mascot and trade maniac himself, Shane Manila, at DFF_Shane. Also, in studio with us today is a special guest, fantasy football maven and Twitter socialite, Bobby Kochs. Welcome to Dynasty Trades HQ, Bobby. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I think I mentioned before that this is my first time on any DFF network podcast, so you guys be super flexible to having me on. And excited to talk some trades with you guys. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Sipes. I know he's been going through a rough time with his grandma, and he's been in my thoughts while he's been dealing with that.
Yeah, he's in all of our thoughts, Bobby. Hopefully he'll be back soon. We're a little rattled without him, but we're making do. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter?
Sure, yeah, you can find me at Rekt Fantasy. That's REKED Fantasy. That's my initials. I feel like I have to say that every time now. You can find my work on Dynasty League Football and at Two Quarterbacks.
Don't you have a podcast too, my brother?
Yeah, I've stopped saying that, but I do realize it's coming back next week. So, yes, I do have a podcast. It's called Afterburners, where we take, I can't even say this tagline anymore, but we take hot, spicy dumps on teams and football takes. But it's changing a little bit where now we're going to be much more focused on quarterbacks and quarterback evaluations. There's still going to be some general football stuff, but it's going to be a little bit of a different show, and it's coming back next week.
Well, good. We'll have to give that a listen. Well, thanks for joining us this week. I think we're just going to jump right in and talk about some current events. And what we do here is just talk about NFL topics or breaking news. And there was actually a lot of action this past week, and some of it in just the past day or so. We're going to start out with Marquise Goodwin. What do you guys think about that? The long overdue contract?
That I think that kills all my Sammy and Allen Robinson hype going to San Francisco. A little disappointed. I was looking forward to one of those two getting out there and wrecking shop, and now there's one less team out there for those two guys to go out and be a wide receiver one.
Yeah, I don't know that that's true, Shane. I think they could still sign them, and they could still be a wide receiver one, and he'd be more of a complementary piece. I do like him, though. I tweeted out earlier, after Shane actually let me know that he was signed to an extension, that he was the WR15 over the course of time that he had Garoppolo throwing him passes. So that's pretty impressive. But I don't know that he's a true number one guy, especially because you do have to keep in mind Pierre Garçon was hurt. And Garçon may be older, but he is someone that I think has been a reliable target for many years now.
Yeah, and that's my bigger concern is it isn't just Goodwin, it's Goodwin and Pierre Garçon. Now you take Goodwin out of the equation, and I think Sammy could have went in there and made some hay, and Allen Robinson would have went in and stepped in and been, easily the wide receiver one, looking at like 130 targets or so. But if they go there now, I don't see that amount of targets being available for him. I could see Sammy going there and not it being as bad as the Rams, because that's awful, but something closer to maybe just 100 targets or so.
Yeah, but that's 100 targets in a Shanahan offense, which I still think is pretty exciting.
And compared to what he looked at, I think he had something like 60 targets, if that, last year in Los Angeles. So it'd be an upgrade. But man, all my Sammy shares, like I want and need him to get wide receiver one targets, man. I need that guy to get like 140 targets a year. And I guess that's never going to happen. Yeah, he got 70 targets in Los Angeles last year. So I guess 100 targets would be a lot better. It'd be a big improvement. It'd be better than his current situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marquise Goodwin, he's just not the X receiver. They don't have the X receiver on that team right now. Garcon has seen better days. Yeah, he's a great player, but he's not going to be any better than a low-end wide receiver 2 pinnacle with the Niners. And Goodwin, I love him. I mean, that's a track guy that finally turned things around for himself in football. I mean, that's an Olympic class sprinter. And so, he's stretching the field with that kind of wheels. He didn't do anything. I thought he would when he was in Buffalo. I had him on some rosters, and I really expected him to develop into what he's doing now in Buffalo, but they spread the ball around. And back to Sammy, he couldn't do anything there either. So that team was just not going to use their receivers enough to get a guy like Goodwin out there. I just don't see him, Goodwin, being anything better than he was last year, especially knowing that they're going to add some wide receivers. They got to get an X receiver. Shanahan's going to look for a number 1. So that puts Marquise Goodwin at what? Maybe wide receiver 2 for that team.
And I agree with that. I think that, it's very interesting that you bring up the Buffalo Bills. I keep saying on podcasts that the Ravens are where wide receivers go to die, but I think it's really the Buffalo Bills are where wide receivers go to die.
Yeah, maybe. And this is a hot take because it's Twitter and we love Tyrod, but maybe Tyrod Taylor actually isn't that good of a quarterback.
Whoa, man! Whoa!
I'm just saying. Just saying.
Joe Flacco is. I think Ravens. That's where wide receivers are. They just roll out dead wide receivers. They don't even go there to die. They are.
So what about the Ravens?
They go there to be seen out to pasture.
You think the Ravens? Maybe the Ravens make a play on Sammy or on Allen Robinson?
They certainly have the need.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have it. Who do they have? Chris Moore is their best wide receiver that's returning.
Rashad Perriman's never going to develop, is he? His hairline's going to be all the way to the back of his head before he's able to catch football.
The recent rumors are Dante Moncrief to the Ravens, which is kind of interesting. I've never been a big Moncrief guy, but if he's being fed a ton of targets, I think he does become a somewhat interesting flyer.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, he's never really seen a lot of targets. Now, part of that is he's never deserved them, especially in a system where you had T.Y. But, yeah, maybe Moncrief, and he's definitely a buy low player because, let's see, the most yards he's ever had in a season is 733 back in 2015. He's still fairly young, though. He's only 24. So he's a guy that could take that career path like Robert Woods just had, find a new home and see a bunch of targets and turn into a wide receiver too.
I think Moncrief will be wherever he goes. I think he'll be a wide receiver too, and I think he'll get, like Bobby was just talking, I think he'll get more targets. He's definitely a red zone threat. I see him being a solid wide receiver too for a team. I don't know what that means in fantasy. It probably depends on what team he goes to, but he's certainly a wide receiver 2 caliber guy. He could be that for any team, the B to whoever's A. But I mean, think about this. Look at all the free agent wide receivers right now. I mean, for dynasty purposes, there are a lot of guys out there available right now. Sammy Watkins, Allen Robinson, Marquise Lee, probably Paul Richardson, Mike Wallace, not really that great. Danny Amendola, not that exciting. Jordan Matthews and Dante Moncrief. So, I mean, there's a lot of guys available that, what do you think of some of these players? Are you looking at buying some of these, trading for them? Are you looking at dumping these guys when their value maybe peaks if they go to a team? But I mean, right now, how are you seeing things shake out for Watkins, Robinson, Matthews and Moncrief on your rosters if you own these guys?
I mean, I think Robinson obviously is the cream of the crop out of that crew. Wherever he goes, he's going to be the wide receiver 1 for that team. The rest of these guys, and even Sammy, as much as I love the guy, and he should be a wide receiver 1, they're more complementary pieces. I'm big on Jordan Matthews. He just came out the other day and he trashed the Eagles doctors as well. He should have, because after he finished the season with Buffalo, which ended early, he had to have knee and ankle surgery. And he came out and said that the Buffalo doctors pretty much told him he should have done that earlier in the year. And he's lucky he didn't get, more injured than he did. I mean, Jordan Matthews is a guy that came out in his first 3 seasons, and I guess people didn't like him. He wasn't very exciting, but he put up over, he averaged over 70 receptions and over 850 yards a season his first 3 years. That's not bad. He'll never be a wide receiver 1. but he can be a low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 in the right situation. Maybe Buffalo.
So I guess I'm kind of split here. So on the one hand, I think A-Rob is the cream of the crop and is a buy for me. Sammy, and I know Shane's going to hate me for this, is a sell. I think that any name value he has left, it's time to cash out, and I'm glad that I cashed out on almost all my shares.
Yeah.
Dante Moncrief and Jordan Matthews are both very interesting to me, though. I might have cheated a little bit and looked up their February ADP from DLF while we were talking. And Jordan Matthews has an ADP of 155. I can't do math very well in my head, but that's round 13, 14, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds right.
He's had a great amount of success until this season. And you have to remember he ended up in Buffalo, where we just said receivers go to die. And he can pick his next team and maybe go to a team that doesn't have 3 slot receivers that they're trying to play not as slot receivers. So to me, he's definitely a buy low. Moncrief, I also think, and I never thought I'd be saying this about Moncrief. I was the biggest Moncrief is overhyped, overrated guy you could probably find out there. But I actually think he's a buy low too, because he's in like the 130s, 140s. And as Jeremy mentioned, he's only 24 and can find himself in a much better target situation. And he has shown that he is a red zone threat.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head for me with Jordan Matthews when you were talking about going somewhere that already has slot receivers. What is his position? I mean, is he a true slot receiver? Is he that big slot guy? Is that the only place he can play? Or can he play outside? Is that, yeah? You think that's where he's going to be then on another team?
Yeah, that's his best place. He just, for whatever reason, he can't get separation on the outside. I don't know what it is. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. I'm not a tape grinder. It's not the speed, because he's fairly fast. You know, he's pretty quick for a big guy. But for whatever reason, he just can't get separation on the outside. But he's built for that slot role, man. If he, like we're saying, if he ends up in the right situation, and he's going to be healthy now, there's no reason he can't get back to putting up, close to 1,000 yards and 80 receptions and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And,
with Moncrief. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think of Jordan Matthews somewhat as, and you guys know, I'm probably one of the biggest Jarvis Landry supporters out there. And I think you can be productive being a slot receiver. I think of Jordan Matthews as Jarvis Landry light, at least when he was good. He didn't quite put up the yards or the receptions that Landry did, but very similar style of he's just going to keep getting receptions over the middle and make his hay there.
Yeah, he never saw the targets. I mean, it's always interesting to think about, but it'd be interesting to see what he could do with those. Well, any receiver with the amount of targets that Jarvis Landry gets. But since we're talking apples to apples here, I mean, if Jordan Matthews got those type of targets, I think he'd lap Landry quite easily. Like I said, he was terrible last year, no doubt. He got traded late. He only played 10 games and he was injured. I mean, it's not one of those fake injuries where, someone comes out later and they say, oh, he was dealing with an injury all season. No, this was a legitimate, like he had to have surgery after the year.
And one last point on that is I wrote an article about Brandon Kochs in his first year in the Patriots offense, and I researched free agents and people who were traded in a new offense and how they generally performed. Almost all of them had down seasons, and surprise, it's one of those things we always say, it takes time to learn a new playbook in offense. So it doesn't really surprise me that Jordan Matthews struggled, and add in the fact that he had an injury, had to adapt to a new team, a new city, a new playbook. That seems like a lot of reasons that he could have had a down season to me.
I agree with you guys on both Matthews and Moncrief. I mean, some of the guys on this list, like Watkins, I don't think you're going to get a value to be able to buy him, and then maybe the window opens up to sell depending on what happens with him as people are excited. You
guys know Sammy Watkins is still really young, right?
Yeah, I do. I'm just saying value-wise, I like him fine. I'm just saying value-wise, what you probably are going to find is that selling him makes sense if you have him when his value peaks, depending on what team he goes to and how that shakes out, because people are excited about him. But there again, the flip side of that is with Matthews and Moncrief, based on their ADP and what people generally, the consensus is thinking of them, they become a guy you could trade for a little cheaper, buy a little lower. And Moncrief, for me, I never went through that post-honeymoon phase with, hey, honeymoon's over, Moncrief, because I drafted him in a lot of leagues. You know, in startups, I got him, and I got him so low that if I were to sell him even right now, I'd probably break even. So for me, he's going to be a gain, and I never went through that phase where I didn't like him. I kind of expected him to continue getting better, and he plateaued and didn't. But I'm going to buy Matthews. I'm going to try to trade for those guys or draft them low in startups right now because their value to me is really good. Watkins, I'd love to have him, but I'm at the point where I'm holding on to him because I don't think anyone's going to pay me what I want to get for him. I'm just not ready to part with him. And Robinson, I think that's the gem. If depending on the situation he goes to, he's going to be valuable. So if you can get your hands on him at any kind of a value, and I think Shane, you traded for him just recently, and you gave up something, a big chip in Dalvin Cook. So
Yeah,
I know you're on board with
Allen
Robinson.
Yeah, I'm all about Allen Robinson, man. I think, like you said, anywhere he lands. Well, wait, I said that. That was a good point by me. Anywhere he lands, he's the wide receiver one. So I don't think you're bringing him in just to be a guy. So maybe he's going to be Mitchell Trubisky's go-to guy. I don't know, but it's going to be a fun free agency period, man. That's all I know.
According to Twitter, every free agent wide receiver as well as rookie is going to be Mitchell Trubisky's go-to guy.
Yeah, they're all going to Chicago.
Yeah, they're the New England for white wide receivers. Like anytime a white wide receiver comes, open, they're like, oh no, he's gone to New England. He's the new Wes Welker / Julian Edelman. Chris Hogan ends up there. Yeah.
To see who ends up in Chicago, because it'll be an exciting offense, and I think whatever receivers end up getting, lining up as the starters there's going to be some real fantasy goodness. A lot of targets, quick, fast paced, PPR gold, as we like to say. But that's some of the guys, kind of being bought and sold at the wide receiver position, and we're talking about bringing some of them in. But on their way out is DeMarco Murray, the staple running back for the Titans. He's had a pretty good career. He's out. Not sure what people think of him and if they're buying him. And Derrick Henry is the guy right now, finally. Certainly the buy window closed on him. No, what do you guys think of those two guys? What are you doing with them?
Yeah, I saw over bouncing around on Twitter that Derrick Henry's to buy now. Like nobody saw this coming. Like we've been talking about Derrick Murray. Seriously, we've been talking about DeMarco Murray getting cut for 2 seasons now. Like we literally all knew this was coming. We
wait, Shane, you're telling me Derrick Henry is a buy and he's going to be a good starter? My God, man.
I know. So sell, because I'm nervous. I don't know, man. I got this bad feeling they're just going to use him in a 2-down role, and I don't want 2-down running backs. I want the guys that are playing all 3 downs. So if you can go out there and get, that's a problem. Like looking at the draft, outside of Saquon and my boy Royce Freeman, Sony Michelle.
Like the guy from Dodgeball. This is my good associate, Michelle.
Outside of those guys, there's not really like, I guess Rashad Penny, but there's not a lot of 3-down backs coming into the league, I guess. But I think I might try to sell Derrick Henry just to see if this DeMarco Murray cut has made him more valuable than yesterday when we all knew this was coming.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Going to be harder to get him, so that's for damn sure.
I guess, but like, this was seriously, like, we've been talking about this cut for 2 years now. Yeah. Everybody knew it was coming. Like, DeMarco Murray knew it was coming. His mom knew it was coming. Everybody knew. So if you weren't already buying on Derrick Henry yesterday, I don't know why this would change your feelings about him now.
And Derrick Henry's ADP was already at 33. I actually didn't know this. He was going above T.Y. Hilton and Juju. Earlier, I saw a tweet by Travis, and I apologize if I butcher your last name, Travis. These guys probably know better than I do. Is it Rasmussen? Is that how you pronounce it?
I just say Rasmussen.
I have no idea. I just call him Travis. I don't know.
Anyway, Travis of the Super Flexible Pod, the bearded weirdo, tweeted out that you should be selling Derrick Henry, and I just said I don't want to. And it's true, I don't. I have shares. I don't want to sell him, but honestly, looking at the fact that he's above Juju with the trade or the cut news, if he goes any higher, then I have to agree with Travis here. I'm sorry, John Hogue. I know I said I was Team John today. I'm turning on you already. It's
stop mentioning these other podcasts, man. They don't mention us. Stop that.
Yeah, we've got enough plugs to do here, Bobby. We don't need to plug everything.
I'm not plugging them. I'm just bringing up a topic.
Don't even mention them. I don't want people knowing they exist until we plug them at the end.
Fair enough.
We're all on the same. I mean, we're all on the same team, but I want more downloads than them.
Right.
I'm sorry. What was the bearded weirdo saying? He said he
just said sell. No, he said sell Derrick Henry.
Yeah. I'm not going to do that probably because I already have him and I've been waiting, so I probably won't unless I get a crazy good offer. I actually like the situation there with the coaching staff coming in and the offense that they're going to implement. Like Shane, I'm not sure if Henry's going to get a lot of love, as a PPR running back, as that hopefully he does. But I see that kind of running back usage there, especially if they implement more of a zone blocking scheme. And I just picture Derrick Henry, and we talked about this on an earlier podcast. I see him being that slashing running back, kind of, a la Edgerrin James in his heyday. Once he gets past the line, he's just bulldozing the secondary over. He has to get to that point. I get it. Not the toughest running back, the best use of force or momentum that we have in the league. But once he gets to full speed, and hopefully that zone blocking will help him get there, I just picture him running guys over and just getting us a lot of love in fantasy points. So hopefully that happens. Now, the next guy we have to talk about here.
But real quick on Henry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick. Sorry, I didn't want to go back. I did want to go back because I'm with you. I just want to see his big ass just trucking down the field and destroying someone. Just 240 pounds, running like the wind and just destroying someone's life.
I also have something quick to add there. 2 down running backs can still have value, guys. I mean, I know the big trend is
Jordan Howard.
Yes, Jordan Howard is valuable. I don't care what anybody says. He's valuable. If Derrick Henry can be like Jordan Howard, and I think he's a much better runner and player than Jordan Howard, which hurts me to say because I've been Jordan Howard's staunchest defender, he can be very valuable.
Yeah, there's less margin for error.
Absolutely.
And that's my only concern is they can take you out of the game plan, or the game flow can take you out of the game plan when you're, a 2 down thumper.
Yeah.
Unless you're John Fox, because then John Fox doesn't care. He'll just keep running the ball no matter how far he's down. Idiot.
I'm glad Bobby brought up the 2 down back being valuable because some of us had played fantasy football for so long. We actually drafted 2 down running backs like they were going out of style, and then also focused on 3rd down backs, to get some backups in there and some love. And this was pre PPR, so everybody had their 2 down backs and they loved it and they won with them. So I'm glad to see a resurgence and people actually focus on guys.
My last point on that is if Marshawn Lynch came out today, everybody would hate him.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson too. Everybody would hate him.
Yeah. Great backs, right? Unbelievable.
We'd feel really silly really quickly with that. Well, not Marshawn. It took him a while to get going, but yeah, AP, we'd all feel stupid as shit the next season, since we were all touting the fact that he can't catch and instead he runs for 1,500 yards. You don't need to
talk
catch.
About Darius guys right now so bad, but I got to change gears here. We're not an IDP show. I think everybody that listens to this that knows Shane realizes we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about IDP. So don't get scared off when we bring up that Aqib Talib is no longer with the Denver Broncos and he's on his way to the Rams. So I want Shane to tell us what he thinks that means. And you too, Bobby, what you think that means they're doing, clearing that $12 million cap right there. That's
them making room for Kirk Cousins. That's them telling everybody to just shut up about Cousins to Minnesota as being a done deal, because now the Broncos have about 31 million plus. They can throw 25, 26 a year in Cousins' way. They can play with the cap some other ways. I don't know. Howie Roseman does it every year, so I assume it's easy. So yeah, I think that's all about, because that frees up, like I said, $11 million of cap. I think that's all done in the hopes of luring Cousins there and making a Super Bowl run with Demaryius and Emmanuel. Tell me I'm wrong, Bobby. Tell me I'm wrong.
All I want to say really is I'm interested that the Rams have been so active in trading. It seems like they're involved in every single trade that's happened so far, one way or another. And a lot of it is them totally restructuring their defense.
But that's incorrect. You forgot about the Eagles trading for Michael Bennett for trash. We traded trash.
No, that's true. You guys got better. The other thing that I did want to say, though, is I highly, highly doubt that Cousins is going to Denver. I'd like to see it. But it seems like it's pretty much a lock that he's going to Minnesota at this point. Maybe I'm just buying too much into all the reports, but it does seem like that's where he's going. But I do like the idea of them freeing up some money, especially because they are a team that I think somewhat needs to admit to themselves that their contending window is getting a little bit shorter. And so they need to start thinking more about the future. And if
Trade alert! Trade alert! Trade alert! Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go for
it.
So
that scared me.
If you've ever listened to the show, what we like to do is startle
Listen
people.
to the show. Never. I've never done that in my entire life.
So, what's funny, though, is a couple times people have tweeted at me like, oh, you scared me, and my daughter woke up when you yelled out trade alert, or I swerved into a wall while I was driving.
Did they not read my review of saying you should totally let your kids listen to this pod, which, by the way, was 100% sarcastic?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I've been letting my kids listen. So... goddamn language. So I made a few trades. I don't even know which one to go with, man. I got trades all over the place, but I'm going to go with one that I know Bobby hated. And probably I shouldn't have done, but frankly, I don't care because I went to go get my guy. So, yep. I gave up. There's another trade where I gave up Dalvin Cook. I gave up Juju Smith-Schuster.
God, he hates Dalvin Cook.
And no, I like the guy. It's just he's a valuable trade piece, man. He's like that. Like if you need to make a big trade, you throw that name out there and everyone gets erect. Even females, if you're trading with them, which is weird.
Yeah.
And a 2018 109 for Saquon. Well, I'm sorry, the 101. The 101 might be Barkley. A pretty good chance I'm trading for Barkley there. Yeah, let me have it. Wow. It's a lot. I know.
I already told you what I thought. I mean, I can repeat it for the listeners, but I guess...
Yeah, please do.
I guess my question is, and I forget if you answered this already, is it super flex or two quarterbacks so I can at least like
super
make it
flex.
Even worse? Oh, so this is even worse for you then. That's what you're telling me.
Well, here you go. I also made another trade in that league immediately afterwards because I was in that trading mood.
Let's look at this as one super trade then.
Well, there's really like three trades that really reshaped this team, dude.
All right.
So I also traded for a quarterback, and I actually gave up Jordan Matthews and the 106 for Mitchell Trubisky, which I really like because Mitchell's going to be awesome with Allen Robinson, Sammy Watkins, and Paul Richardson.
Yeah.
He's going to probably throw for 6,000 yards or so.
At
least. And then I gave up all that other stuff for Saquon. So after the Saquon trade, I was on a trade euphoria, trade high. I traded Eric Ebron. I know that's the headlining name there. The 103 this year and the 206 this year for Corey Davis. And I still have another first rounder this year. And I have 4 first rounders next year.
So if you were to put that all together, and I'm having trouble doing it in my head.
You can't. It's impossible. There's too many players. Basically, I got Corey Davis, Saquon Barkley, and Mitchell Trubisky for a lot of stuff.
Yeah. The first trade is terrible. And it's terrible because, don't get me wrong, I kind of agree with you about Dalvin, where I think he's great. I think he's going to be great in Minnesota, where they tend to rush a lot. But I also think that his value is being propped up by the fact that Alvin Kamara and Kareem Hunt and Leonard Fournette had such great seasons that everyone's like, oh, every running back from this class is just amazing. And we have a 4-game sample with him. Although I say that, and I love Deshaun Watson, and we don't have much more of a sample of Deshaun Watson. The other piece in that trade was Juju Smith-Schuster, which I don't know if you saw this earlier, but I'm apparently going to die because I got some stuff that dripped on me from a New York City building, which means...
Yeah, no, or you're going to turn into a spider.
Yeah, or Spider-Man.
Or a Spider-Man. That's probably better than a spider.
But In my death, I said that my final words would be that Juju Smith-Schuster is a dynasty buy, not sell. I don't know if you saw the other day, and I'm outing myself to Dynasty Trades HQ's listeners for the first time here with this take on a podcast, because it's only been in Twitter mentions. I believe that Juju Smith-Schuster has the potential to be an eventual first-round dynasty startup pick. So with just those two players alone, I don't like the trade for you, because I think their combination of the two will outweigh Barkley. And then to add in the pick on top of it just kills you, especially in Superflex or 2QB, because even if you didn't need the quarterback, you could have sold that pick to somebody who did for a haul. I understand you have all those picks, but value-wise, I just do not like it for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you.
I'm good with all of it, Shane, except for the Dalvin and Juju part of it. I would not part with Juju Smith.
That's like the main part.
That's the only trade I dislike. The Ebron trade for Corey Davis I like. The other one was a Trubisky trade I like too. But the stuff you gave up for Barkley was just too much in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I know it's a lot, and I know it was an overpay, and I ran a Twitter poll, or actually the dude that I made the trade with, we ran a Twitter poll, and then I threw it up on the Dynasty Trades HQ handle, and it had something like 400 votes last time I saw, and I was getting absolutely smoked, like 77 to 23%. And this is one of those times where I frankly don't care. I wanted Saquon. Could I've maybe? I mean, I did what I had to get him. There's no way there's no way to make that trade without giving up what I gave up.
Yeah, I'm not going to come at you for that. That's part of Dynasty. Is you want to have fun. We play this game to have fun. You want your guys. So, yeah, do I think you did bad from a value perspective? Sure, but you got the guy you wanted on your team.
And here's the thing: if I think it's like a $30 league, something like that. I don't even know. Not a lot. If it was a high stakes league, like FFPC league, I don't know. Just as an aside, I'm filling one of those up now. If anybody wants to go online and look up, there's a $77 Dynasty League. Look for the Dynasty Football Factory one. That's mine, $77 league. But as an aside, I'll go back to the trade. If it was, say, a $250 to $500 league, obviously I'm going to play it different. It's not going to be just about, oh, I want this guy on my team, so I'm going to trade everything in sight. $30 league, look, you're going to be a little more adventurous than you would in a big money league.
I don't actually play them any differently. But to be fair, I'm playing in a big money league for the first time this season. I'm in one of Ryan McDowell's kitchen sink leagues, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
I'm in Pigs 3, Scott Fish league, and I have no idea what's going on either. It's a bankroll league. Good times.
Yeah, we're in this together.
That's a way to learn. Jeremy, you in any weird leagues this year?
No, I didn't join any of those. What's the cost to join those? What are your dues for those leagues?
Kitchen sink is a $78 entry.
I think the Scott Fish was 50. I don't even know. Yeah. So those aren't really high stakes either. But yeah, I
comparatively to my $25 leagues I usually play in are $30. $78 is a lot.
I guess,
you know 75 is what they consider. I guess above 75, you'd consider that high stakes.
But that's what's considered high stakes. I don't even know what the arbitrary cutoff is.
Shane just throws out thousands of dollars. He thinks we're all peasants. That's why he mentioned the $30 leagues. He's playing in like $2,000 leagues. Actually, he's betting the mortgage on his house on fantasy. His wife is just ready to kick him out.
Little known fact: I used to have 3 kids.
Oh, wow. Hey, did you have another trade alert there, Mr. Manila? Did you have another trade?
Geez,
across the desks at Dynasty Trades HQ?
No, I think I ran through all those trades, right? I ran through those. I gave up the. Oh no, I did have another trade.
McCaffrey trade.
I did. So, and I'm gonna go ahead and name the team White Jesus and his disciples. That was my team's name. I'm gonna have to change it now because White Jesus was Christian McCaffrey. I traded White Jesus and Leonard Fournette for Lev Bell and the 109. And you know what? Wow. Bobby hated this trade too. Oh, so do you.
Yeah, I like the side you gave away better than the side you know. I like the Red Rocket side better for me.
Yeah,
Well,
well, you're both wrong.
Is
What
it
they got.
Superflex or 2QB? I don't know if I
No,
so
it's 1QB. 1QB.
anybody who asks me trade advice, just assume that I'm going to ask you that question now because I'm always very focused on Superflex or 2QB leagues. So my advice will almost always pertain to that because it's my
because they're
default
more fun.
Yeah,
They are the correct
They're easier
leagues
to win
play
too, Bobby. I play in a lot of them too. I'm just busting your chops, man.
You know what? Though, you know what's great about Superflex leagues though is that the trades are easier to make because there's more of an opportunity for mixing and matching.
Yeah, I agree.
There's always a team that, you know, even, and I like, not that I like, but I find the same is true when you have start 2 tight end leagues, start 2 tight end or tight end premium and Superflex leagues. There's just more room to be creative. Whereas, you know, a lot of leagues, it's just kind of like, oh, I'm trading this flex for that flex. You know what I mean?
In my one quarterback league,
there's always somebody that wants a quarterback in a Superflex league and willing to pay for it.
Yeah, that's true. In my one quarterback league, you cannot sell quarterbacks for anything. If anything,
you be able to.
They're a throw-in on like a huge deal, and it's just like, all right, I got this quarterback now, I guess. I didn't even really want him, but you gave him to me, and I had a roster spot.
Yeah, in any league that I've hoarded quarterbacks in that's a one quarterback league, I always get stuck with like 3 guys going, man, which one of these guys do I have to cut this year? Because nobody wants.
Yeah, I got a Jimmy in this league we're talking about here. I got Jimmy Garoppolo and Marcus Mariota, and I'm like, well, it's a one quarterback league. What the? I can't do shit with Jimmy G. Like, I want to be able to sell high on Jimmy G. I can't do it in a one quarterback league. The hell am I going to get that 210? But anyway, so both of you guys are wrong. So you don't like that trade. Let's see. Leonard Fournette is fat, he has bad ankles, and he got phased out of the passing game. Christian McCaffrey is super theoretic, and Le'Veon Bell's one of the greatest running backs of all time. So I win. And at 109, at 109, there's no way I don't get DJ Moore, who Bobby doesn't like. Or
I never said I don't like DJ Moore.
The 109. I don't think DJ Moore is going to fall to 109 anymore, buddy.
You're throwing me under the bus for a take I don't even have. I like DJ Moore. I don't want random goes. I don't want random Twitter people coming at me and being like, did you not see the combine? Did you not see all this? I did. Okay, DJ Moore's great. It's fine.
Bobby, don't screw up the way I win arguments on this show. I pretend that you guys think something. I say that you think it, and then I bash you for it. It's a good thing. It's a good thing we got going on. So 109, I'll get Royce Freeman, right? Because you hate him. You don't think he should be drafted before the, 3rd round?
It was the end of the 2nd, but I admitted that I was too low on him. But yeah, you're right. I don't like him as much as you do.
Way too low. Now, this would be a good opportunity to plug the Scouting Academy. We're actually giving $50 off. There's a link on our site. Just go hit that. There's $50 off the summer registration. And then you can do some scouting and learn how great that Royce Freeman is. I didn't take the Scouting Academy courses yet, but I still know Royce Freeman's awesome. I was looking him up a little earlier, and he's the 7th leading all-time yards for scrimmage in college football history. So he's pretty good.
I will say Shane actually did open my eyes to how wrong I was about Royce Freeman, and I've since changed my stance. So there you go,
so
Shane.
You moved him above. Sweet. See, that's what I'm all about, building bridges here.
Yeah, I moved him to, I think, like RB7 or RB6 in this class.
I can, you're still a little low on him, but there's time. There's time.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, we will. Jeremy doesn't even like him at all, I don't think.
I like him. Stop reading the reads. You got to stop blurting stuff out there, man. Puppet master. But I do love Royce Freeman, though. I've been watching him for a long time. I have him. I play in some Devy leagues, and I have him on more than 2. I know that. I have him in like 3 places as a guy, and I didn't know how he was going to develop. I was actually sad that he stayed in college for 352 years. I really wanted him to come out early, but he's going to be good. And how would it would be nice if he reunited up in Chicago where everybody else is going to play. If he ended up in Chicago with some of those wide receivers that are all going there, and played for Helfrich and Nagy and got installed in that offense, catching the passes, and I mean,
excuse me, that's where John Kelly is going.
They already
he
have
would beat out his draft stock.
So are they just going to cut Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen?
Yeah.
No,
they're not. I'm dreaming like you are with some of the trades that you made that you thought you won. I'm just dreaming a little bit about it.
Here's the
Let
thing
a guy
about
dream.
trade. And you know this. You don't know who won the day the trade is made.
No, you don't.
Often you won't know for several years. And honestly, Le'Veon Bell is not. I guarantee you, he will not be on my roster by the beginning of the season because I'll get cold feet. Yeah, every time I've ever owned Le'Veon Bell, this is the longest I've ever owned him. I think it's been 3 days.
That's the usually great thing, though.
3 days.
Yeah,
you can not be wrong, Shane, because by the time someone remembers to call you out about the trade, and there's been enough time, nobody's going to remember that you made that trade. Especially with how often you trade. I feel like this is actually Shane's master plan. Just trade. So nobody can remember what he did.
I think it was, no, I mean, but here's the thing. We can always go back to the tapes. We can always go back to the transactions. I got no problem going back. I'll recall trades. I got a pretty good recall. I'll go back on trades that I made years ago. I still remember trading Ezekiel Elliott when he was in college. And that was a horrible trade. I essentially traded him for Laquan Treadwell and Josh Doxson.
Did you say Ezekiel Elliott like his name starts with an X, like Xavier? What are you talking about?
Did I call him It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Executive Elliott.
Executive Elliott.
You're doing the 80-20 rule, man. You're throwing out 80 offers and then you're winning like 20 of them, but you don't care because you're making so many.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm gonna do a trade log at some point, but just not for all my leagues because that's literally impossible. I'd have to quit my job to actually do that, to have the time to do that. But I think I'm going to do it for 1 or 2 leagues. Oh wait, I can just do that by going and looking in the transactions.
There you go.
So there you go. I'm just gonna do that, and that's gonna be an episode. We're just gonna read through trades of mine from a season.
I wrote about that for DLF, and just really quick, sorry, Jeremy, to bring up a bad trade to counteract all of Shane's bad trades tonight, so that people don't think I'm just some amazing trader. Just keep in mind, when I was new to Dynasty, I traded Keenan Allen for Monty Ball more or less straight up. So you can judge everything I say with a grain of salt.
Monty.
I'm going to from now on. Yes, after you said that. And speaking of these trash dynasty trades you guys are discussing and some of Shane's that he threw out there earlier, I think it's a good time to do our hashtag trash dynasty trade offers that Shane himself coined for our show that's taken off like gangbusters. I think you have at least 1 or 2 of those, right? Maybe you have somebody. Yeah. Go ahead, Shane.
Well, the reason that it's taken off is because that hashtag just rolls off the tongue. Hashtag trash dynasty trade offers. I mean, if I were to have another child, I'd probably name him that. So oddly enough, in this same league, someone offered me Jeremy Hill, and all they wanted was my 112th.
Yeah, that's a great trade. I love it. You should have done it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I declined that, and he said, okay, I see you, and I raise you. He offered me, and I'm going to get his name wrong, and I don't care, Mike Gillisley, and he wanted my 111 for that. So clearly he thinks Gillisley.
Was that in addition to Jeremy Hill, or he went instead of Jeremy Hill, I'm going to give you Gillisley, and
exactly.
You can,
and I want a better pick.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, I said, you know what, this is probably a good time for us to open a dialogue. Mostly because I didn't want this shit going on all night, where he's just offering me every garbage running back. Like at some point, I'm sure Andre Ellington would have been pulled out on me. So I messaged him. I'm like, hey, thanks. I'm pretty stacked at running back. I got Fournette, Mixon, Christian McCaffrey, and also the running backs that you're offering me are terrible. So don't do that anymore.
What was his response?
I haven't heard from him, and I think I might have been kicked out of the
league. You're offering me are terrible.
Wait, no, I don't know if I thought that or if I sent it back to him, but I got to check. I'm
That
pretty
may be the first time I've heard someone get terrible trade offers sent to them, and they're the ones who get kicked out of the league.
Well, in fairness, I'm an asshole, so I would,
God.
yeah, I would suggest kicking me out of most leagues. And then I was offered the 1.8 for Joe Mixon in the same league,
Same guy or different guy?
different guy. And that one, I could see what the guy was trying to do. You know, Mixon had a meh season, so try to buy low on him. Good for him. That's a good, that's a smart move. Just throw it out there and see if, like, a lot of guys will panic early. But I'm not selling Mixon for the 1.8 when I drafted him the season before at I believe it was the 103 or 104 or something like that.
But for sure.
What if he's Laquan Treadwell? I'm just fucking with you. If he's Laquan Treadwell?
He could be, but you know what? I guarantee I'd still be able to get the 1.8 for him next year.
Yeah, that's true, probably.
Laquan Treadwell ain't dead yet. Joe Mixon ain't dead yet, Shane. That's your next article.
That was a good story me and Brian wrote. That was probably much better than Laquan Treadwell deserved.
Yes, for sure.
God, he was awful. He is awful.
Well, hey, you were talking about being a puppet master on that, huh?
He's still only 20 years old, I think, Laquan Treadwell. So there's still time,
I think he's 17 still.
17. Yeah. Oh, well.
He's young.
He's older than our buddy Addison, that's for sure.
Well,
oh my God.
Addison's like 13.
College freshman? Yeah.
Junior high.
Yeah, Addison's definitely still middle school.
Yeah. Homeschooled like Addison until you're, starting college at 12. I mean, he should like Amari Cooper better. Amari's been in the league for 3 years and is still 13 years old.
And he's still younger than Calvin Ridley somehow, isn't he?
Yeah, at the same age, I think. Actually.
Yeah, and Anthony Miller.
Close.
Anthony Miller's his father, right? I think so. I haven't. I got to check Wikipedia. Some of those things aren't true, I don't think.
Well, hey, I wanted to tell you guys about something, and this is kind of cool because Shane was talking about playing Puppet Master with us and everybody else because he's always one step ahead of us. We have this really cool new sponsor to talk about today. It's the Fan-Controlled Football League, and this is how they describe it. Welcome to the next generation of fantasy football, the Fan-Controlled Football League, where fans manage real teams and are rewarded for their successes through the league's proprietary fan token. In the FCFL, fans scout the players, draft the rosters, hire the coaches, call the plays, and even help design the team logo. Sounds like a lot of fun. The FCFL will feature 8 professional teams playing 7-on-7, fast-paced indoor football. The Fan-Controlled Football League is making fantasy football a reality. Like a real-life version of Madden, fans will vote on all personnel decisions and play calls in real time. And what the fans say goes. To learn more about Fan Token and the FCFL, visit fcfl.io. That's fcfl.io. And you can visit that and learn about that on dynastyfootballfactory.com. Power to the fans.
I like Madden GM mode. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I would play, that was pretty much the only mode I'd like to play in. Team building. I guess that's part of the reason we like Dynasty football, huh?
Yeah, draft your favorite players to it. I mean, the Cleveland Browns players were actually worth something. It was awesome.
I was all about franchise mode, but I would just play just so I could take draft picks and trade them around and see what I could do with them.
Dude, always. That's the best part. And not for nothing, the more I play Dynasty, the more I realize just to accrue as many draft picks as I can. Not to make the picks, but to sell them off.
Yeah, no, it's always a smart move because you can always flip the picks for vets or flip the picks for future picks. Just keep building that war chest.
Exactly. I sometimes, like I said, I don't even know how in startups, a lot of times I'll trade back for first rounders. I'm fine with that. We'll have a startup soon going, me and you, Bob. And shit, I already told you that. So, well, now you know that. But luckily, I don't think anyone else listens to this pod that's in the league with us, so I'll try that on them.
Nice. What league is that?
It's Riley's league with
Riley
no name.
Bymaster, yes. A couple of the Dynasty dummies. We got Jake Anderson in that league. Our buddy Jason from DTC. Fat Mormon. It's going to be a fun league.
Lopsided Trades, who I met in Port Authority today. By the way, that's where I got dripped on, right outside Port Authority. So I'm definitely going to die or something.
Well, you know what, though? I'm excited that this is basically your last will and testament.
Yeah, these are my last words.
Yes. So if you want to leave me anything, just say it now.
Your best dynasty football team.
I leave, if I were to die right now and I had to pick between the two of you, I'd leave all my teams to Jeremy.
You know what?
Yes.
I don't like you. I don't know. Why did we invite him on?
I like him, man. I'm getting all his teams. I'm going in winning.
All right, I think that's about all. So we do want to ask you to go rate and review on the iTunes there, because that's how people find us. You can say bad things about us. Just give us 5 stars. That's fine.
You don't ask for much.
Nah, we really don't. Just rate us. I don't even care if you listen. Oh, wait, you are listening. Tell your friends and family to download as well. The end.